Welcome to Tech News Briefing. It's Wednesday, October 25th. I'm Zoe Thomas for the Wall Street Journal. A group of more than 40 attorneys general are filing lawsuits in federal and state courts against Meta. They allege the social media giant built its products with addictive features that harm young users, and that the company marketed Facebook and Instagram to users under 13 years old, even though they're barred from the platform by both Meta's policies and federal law. Our reporter Jeff Horwitz is here with more on these cases. Jeff, there are a few different lawsuits here. Are the arguments in each of them the same?
They're very similar. The three major points here are that Meta knew and did not disclose publicly that its products were designed in ways that were unsafe for young users in particular, that they were addictive, and that particular product features funneled users toward content that was going to keep them engaged, even if it made them feel bad about themselves or prevented them from sleeping because they were staying up all night, or any other sort of type of problem that might result.
What has Meta said about the lawsuits?
Meta has said that it's disappointed the attorneys general are pinning blame on it, and has noted that it was very cooperative with providing documents. And it says that it believes that it's acted in good faith, has attempted to make its platform safe for young users, and that this just sort of isn't the right way to think about teenage mental health.
A lot of this evidence comes from documents that were made public by Frances Haugen. Those documents showed the company's internal research into potential harms of the platforms, and they were the basis of the Wall Street Journal's Facebook Files series that ran in 2021, which you reported on. Can you tell us a bit more about what the documents said and how they're being used in these cases?
It's important to recognize that a lot of what's in these suits is still redacted. It's going to take at least a few weeks and perhaps longer to see exactly what is in the hand of the attorneys general. But in terms of the stuff that's public record and that we've seen, Meta internally recognized that per its own mental health researchers, they believed that Instagram was making body image worse in a significant minority of teenage girls, 1 in 3. They also could see very clearly that certain design features really did increase how much time users spent on the platform, and there was such a thing called problematic use, namely when users felt compelled to use the product more than even the user thought was good for them, but they just simply didn't have the self-control to get off.
Has Meta made any changes to its platforms since these documents were made public?
Meta has made some changes that are somewhat in line with some of the general allegations of the attorneys general, but the AGs have said that the company is, in fact, has sort of doubled down on some of the engagement building tricks that they consider to be inappropriate and that they consider the company to have obscured. The AGs also allege that Meta engaged in a cover-up by saying that the stuff that we reported, and to some degree that their own researchers had said, was invalid, that they were misleading the public and parents about known actual risks, at least that the company had identified.
Are these lawsuits arguing that social media in general has a problem, or just Meta's platforms?
There's still the possibility that the attorneys general are going to be going after other platforms, so that's outstanding. However, the attorneys general noted very strenuously to me that they are not accusing social media of being evil in broad strokes. They are suing over very specific choices in terms of ranking of content and personalization features and sort of consumption increasing design changes they believe were unfair in terms of how they were being applied, and that the company was aware were harmful to some users.
And so what is the goal of these lawsuits?
So the goal would be to get those features removed, per the attorneys general that I spoke to. There were, in fact, settlement talks that preceded this, and apparently, per the AGs, the series of requests were put to Meta, and there was a question as to whether or not Meta was going to acknowledge whether there were certain issues and agree to make certain changes. Obviously, the opposing parties were not able to see eye to eye on what those would be, and as a consequence, this is now going to court.
So is that what comes next, Jeff? These parties are just going to end up in court?
Absolutely. I mean, it's and in a lot of different courts. So Tennessee and Colorado are the states that are sort of been leading the investigation. Colorado is running the main federal suit being filed in California. And Tennessee and Massachusetts and some other states are filing their own litigation separately in state court as a kind of a tactical move. So there's going to be a lot of activity. Something that really stuck out to me from one of the attorneys general I spoke to out of Tennessee was that he likened this to the opioid litigation and the tobacco litigation, in the sense that this many states putting this much in the way of resources into a case against a major company is fairly rare. And, he was saying that at a recent meeting to discuss this, there were more than 100 representatives of various states on hand in terms of the legal strategy.
That was our reporter, Jeff Horwitz. And that's it for Tech News Briefing. Today's show was produced by Julie Chang with supervising producer Melanie Roy. I'm Zoe Thomas for the Wall Street Journal. We'll be back tomorrow. Thanks for listening.